mental health diagnosis, goals of substance use reduction, and the list goes on. We all have our own experience with disability, whether our own or with people we know. Here at Ability MKE Now, break down the barriers and celebrate the ability in all of us. And with that, we have the excitement of two wonderful guests joining us this evening. And as we are hopping into who our wonderful guests are, I'm going to pass the mic over to Emily to give our first introduction. So Emily, over to you.
All right, our first guest, Eldon. And another person we met through the infamous Happy Neighborhood Project, or HMP. And Eldon, what can I say about you? He calls himself the Connector, and I believe you're out on the West Coast, Eldon?
Me?
Are you out on the West Coast? I believe so.
No, I'm on the East Coast.
You're on the East Coast, okay. I'm getting my countries mixed up here. But I'm going to pass over to you, Eldon, to just say about a little bit of who you are, what you do, that kind of thing.
Okay, my name is Eldon Takena, and my business, I like being known as the Connector. I like finding about different businesses and finding about them, and kind of like the forum where they say, you want to find out about that family, their occupation and recreation, then you give your message. You want to find out about them, and I enjoy working with meeting different people on the HMP network and finding out about them and see who might be good referral partners. And so that's part of what I do. And the other business I do is a business called SendOutCards, and it's all about people. It's about connecting people. And what we do with SendOutCards, for example, I'm going to use this as an example. If you have a meeting with somebody, like I had a meeting with someone today. He's in our networking group, and what he does is carpet cleaning. So I find out about his business. But here's the key thing. I wanted to acknowledge him for his time. So what I did is afterwards, I created a card digitally and I sent it to him, and it's basically saying thank you. It's about acknowledging people, and that's what we try to do. That's what we do with SendOutCards. It's another form of connecting with your client and keeping in touch with them. And that's so important for and that's why I like the HMP project. We get to encourage other people, like either Emily, Sue, or we have other members, part of the HMP network, that we work with on a weekly basis or meet on a weekly basis. And we're all there to help promote their own business and connect them. And if we can't, the idea is to connect them with people who can help them. You have any other questions, Emily?
I'm not sure at the moment, but I think we're on.
Well, actually, Emily, I know that Eldon's talking a little bit about HNP. You want to share a little bit about what that is and what the community is all about?
Let me make myself big here. So the Happy Neighborhood Project was started several years ago by someone named Edwin, who interviewed over 1,000 people about happiness and was recognized by the United Nations for his work in global happiness. In 2014, was invited to do a TEDx talk. And the Happy Neighborhood Project, before the pandemic, was just one meeting, held it in person in California. Once the pandemic hit, And when everything went on Zoom, then that's when we kind of blew up and got to a peak of 75 meetings around the US and like 8 countries. And so with business networking meetings. So that's a little bit about it.
That's where we've had the pleasure of meeting an amazing number of interesting people along the way, and that's how we actually have gotten to meet Eldon here. And for me personally, this is the first I've gotten to meet him, so I'm very curious to hear a little bit more about how you use SendOutCards in what you do, and also just as far as with being a connector, what if you have any stories of connections you've made that have been that have kind of stood out in your mind as being just a great matchup of people getting together.
Yeah, I'm going to use Molly Welch as an example. She does the nonprofit called Second Later. And what I did was, I know people back in California in Marin County, and the key thing about that is Marin County is a wealthy community. Now, so what I did is I connected her to a local politician that I used to attend the same church, so I connected her with him. Well, nothing has happened as of yet, but that's something that could possibly happen. That's why I like HMP Network, so that I could connect people nationwide and help them. There's something else that I did. I helped out a friend friends who work with the Salvation Army. They're they're lieutenants in the Clovis. What I did is I connected them with a company called Thrivent, which I don't work for them, but I'm a member of them. And what we did was, Thrivent does help nonprofits, and they have with Thrivent, a nonprofit can apply through Thrivent to be on their list that their members can donate. And I was able to help the Clovis Salvation Army connect up with them, so now they can collect so people who are members of Thrivent can donate to the Salvation Army. And I think that's one that I'm really happy about, because they're longtime friends, and they're in New Mexico. I'm in Tennessee, and I'm working with, and I'm trying to work with the local Salvation Army to help get into the private listed donors list of where people they can donate to Thrivent. So I'm liking the connecting process. It's a very exciting, and when you can see people connect through, I see that smile on your face. It generates a good, solid feeling, and I believe that what we do is send out cards. We believe in sending out positive vibes, and in return, we're going to get that. It may not come from that person, but when you send out positive energy, you get something in return.
I completely agree. I think that's amazing. And the more connecting we can all make to benefit others that's a big pleasure in life, to be able to make a difference for other people. And that's a lot of how Ability MKE Now started, was trying to make a difference and make an impact in what's going on around us. So, well, Emily, I actually want to pop this back over to you. If you would be so kind as to bring our other guest in here and give a little introduction of who our other guest is this evening. Over to you, Emily.
Our other guest, Raju, is another Happy Neighborhood Project person from out of Texas, who is in the real estate and technology industry. So, Reg, you're going to pass over to you to say kind of who you are, what kind of thing.
Okay, I don't even know where to start. I got a lot of things going on. So, yeah, IT world, but mainly a network for my healthcare technology. We provide for any self-employed and small business owners, we provide up to 50 to 70% cost cuttings. That's one of the things we do, but that's one of the things I concentrate on. That's a new venture I'm in. I do real estate, network heavily with real estate, do my own LinkedIn podcast and all that stuff. I guess, yeah, ask away, what questions I can answer. I can go deep into whatever you guys want to ask me about, I guess.
Excellent. Well, we're glad you're here joining us this evening. So, with Ability MKE Now, we're often talking about how to connect the world of people with disabilities and those that don't have disabilities, and seeing where we can intersect and break down barriers. So, does that, with what you do, I know healthcare is a big topic. So that's something that's for a lot of folks that have disabilities, that's a very prominent piece that they have to think about more than like what I would necessarily have to. So I don't know if you have some thoughts or some stories as it relates to that.
No, that I mean, in health, that's not what I'm involved in, but I have a future mission for veterans, mental health. That's a future, something I want to do with that. It's I would say, my passion project in the future. So that's where I probably will get involved. I'm involved in donating to, various children's charities. That's where I'm more involved in. I'm part of a, Dallas, we have a society called Dallas Margarita Society where we donate, I don't know, close to $500,000, but we also do the biggest party in town, or actually in the world probably, biggest cocktail party. Part of most of the proceedings, whatever we make out of it, or donations we get, we donate to children's charities, which there are so many different kinds there. It's not just disabled kids, it's underprivileged kids, mentally, disabled kids. There are different charities. We just donate to different charities. We just select group of charities and donate there. So yeah, I guess, that's, pretty much when I talked to Kurt, I guess I mentioned, I had a couple of friends who are heavily involved in military side of things, health, especially the mental health. People don't know or not know, but PTSD and the mental healthcare is a big issue for military veterans, especially. A lot of them go homeless because of mental, PTSD issues. So it's a big issue. So that's one of the things I want to get involved in the future. So.
Excellent. Well, speaking of connecting, we might be able to help connect you with a friend of the show, actually. And I think I'm going to pass it back over to Emily to mention this for us. Can you tell everybody a little bit about Project Die Hard and what that's all about and who runs that? It's a gentleman that has been on our show in the past. We haven't had him on lately. We should bring him back. But this might be I know it's a future thought for you, but I would love to at least give you an insight on what that is, and that might be a piece you might be able to spark with what you're thinking about. Emily, over to you.
All right, so Project Die Hard is a veteran-owned, veteran-run nonprofit that is in Paducah, Kentucky. Yeah, I can't talk. Paducah, Kentucky. That's hard words to say. That helps veterans with kind of the transition, or I guess helping veterans and military with kind of whatever help they need, especially with kind of the transition between active duty and civilian life. And they have a 10,000 square foot building on 20 acres just over the border in Illinois that they are looking to renovate to be able to eventually have 12 veterans and their families be able to stay at this facility for up to a year. Between a couple hours or at max a year to kind of get the help that they need or looking for, or that kind of thing.
With that transition from
So if that's of interest to you, Raju, I can certainly put you in touch with Brian Gibson, who's the president and founder of it.
Because that transition and the whole concept of the mental health aspect, when you're going from active duty to coming back to civilian life, is something that those of us who've never been in the military, I don't think have any way to really understand what that's like. I know I don't know enough about it, but I've heard enough stories and can have an appreciation, obviously, for what that is and the challenge that presents. So that's when you mention about that being a future passion for you, that he might be a very good connecting point for you, because they have an event coming up in the summer. I know that there's a huge event for them with both fundraising and with just getting the word out of what they do, what their mission is. They're hoping to spread what they do across the country and have a location in every state, to have a location in every state to be able to be of service to those military veterans.
Yeah, maybe I can help him. Yeah, I got a lot of friends in, basically veterans, and I'm actually in a business with someone who's a veteran, essentially. So I have a friend actually who donates his own money to house veterans in Philly area. I tried to help him, try to get in people to more donate to him, but he just wanted to do it himself. So he was a do-it-own guy. No, sure. Best way to reach me is probably LinkedIn, because that's where I built network, and that's where I network there. And if I can help anyway, connect them with somebody else, more than happy to do that, because my big network is in real estate. So if they're trying to do housing or anything, maybe a lot of people are obviously passionate about helping any veterans and all that stuff. So
excellent. That's fantastic, because I know they actually do their own Monday mission updates as a podcast on Monday night. So and Emily's working closely with the organization, so that's something that we could definitely be able to help out with making connections like that. And I hope that with what we do here with Ability MKE Now, that we're able to do more of that type of thing too, with connecting people with passion projects. And how all this relates, I mean, it all falls within that network of what we do here with Ability MKE Now, because that has to do with mental health and just basic needs, really, being able to do those transitions from, like we were saying, from military life to civilian life again. And there's so many different things that could be possible there. So I guess I'm kind of curious if, I know you, actually, I don't think Raju and Eldon, if you've had a chance to meet each other before tonight, so I don't know if you happen to have any questions for each other or thoughts to share with each other at this point. So Eldon, actually, do you have any thoughts that you want to bring in at this point?
I'm excited that you're talking about Project Die Hard. I know a friend of mine who's the speaker who speaks about the Vietnam War. I could share that information with somebody. I'm sure he would like to participate, would like more information about Project Die Hard. And so anyway, no, I'm excited about we brought up this project. I would like to help them raise funds too.
That'd be amazing. I know that it always says many hands make light work. So the more we can help with what they're doing too. It's all for a good cause, and they're doing everything they can. It is his life mission. And we should have Brian back on here again sometime soon to have a refresher of who he is, what he does, and how. I mean, suicide is a big issue with military when they're that whole idea of Project 22. 22 at the time when the concept of Project 22 came up, it was surrounding the fact that 22 veterans or military individuals are committing suicide on taking their own life on a daily basis. And my understanding is that number at this point is much higher on a daily basis, and it's hard for me to even wrap my head around that. Brian was at that point in his life, and that's where this is a life passion of his, with being able to help others to manage and get through those hard times, because you need somebody to be there for you, and that's what he needed. That's what many others need. I mean, we all need help, right? None of us can do all this, everything that we do all on our own. We all need support. We all need resources, and that's. I'm glad you guys are here at the table to be able to have this conversation and to share what your talents and passions are as well. Raju, do you have some other thoughts for us tonight?
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of mental PTSD is misdiagnosed or mistreated, I think. There's a book called Bodies Keeps the Score. I encourage everybody to read, actually. It's a tremendous insight into how wrongly PTSD victims are treated. And that's where veterans or VA hospitals lack. That's the issue. That's one of the big issues. Veterans not getting the right proper health or mental health care, not health care itself, but mental health care, because they're not equipped to do that. And that's where, the people I met, kind of told me, but this amazing guy, he was a former Army Special Ops, Army Ranger, very highly successful entrepreneur, startup, venture capitalist, venture guy, but he still was suffering PTSD, and that's where I got it from. Like, even such a highly functioning person has PTSD, a lot of stuff to deal with, and VA. I mean, him having money is one thing. He can take care of himself, but there's a lot of people who can't, and that's why you see a lot of veterans homeless, all that kind of stuff because of that, because they're not able to deal with whatever they went through, and nobody's there to help them properly. Just give them medications which don't work. So anyway, so that's a long story to it. So long, lot of information behind it.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think about with Eldon, with what you do with something like SendOutCards, where you can reach out to people from wherever you are to wherever they are. That's something where people can find out that, hey, somebody was thinking about me, which sometimes you don't think that much about. Reaching out and sending a card, is that a big deal? It's a small thing, but you know what? It's a big deal. When's the last time you got a card in the mail from somebody? It's always a special feeling. And to know that somebody's thinking about you, and just that extra little outreach of, pick up the phone. If you have a friend that you haven't talked to in a long time, isn't it a pretty special thing to talk to them and just pick up that phone and say hi or send them a text? We all need on some level of knowing that there's somebody out there that's thinking about them and caring about them, and how practical that is for all of us.
I'm going to ask you a question. Is there any way where we can write to a veteran that we don't know and just send them a word of encouragement? Is there a way to do that? Is that possible?
That is a great question. I love that thought, and I don't know the answer. I kind of wonder with Brian, with Project iHeart, if maybe he'd have a route with that, or a thought on how to make that happen. Because I think he's one that people tend to reach out to when they have questions or needs, or this might be an maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure, but we can definitely find that out because that's a great thought. So if anybody's listening and has a way to help answer that question, I would love to know more too, because our show is actually on the website with Riverwest Radio. So if you go to riverwestradio.com and click on the shows tab, our show is the first one in the listing there with Ability MKE Now, and our contact info is there. We would love to hear more from people that have ways to, like you guys are saying, with being able to connect people, connect the dots, connect all the way around. If this is a connection we can help make happen, oh my goodness, would that be amazing? I would be thrilled to know that we were able to make a difference for, even if it's for one person. That's what we're all about here. What can we do to help make a difference?
I'm really excited that you picked this one topic because it kind of gives us a single focus on the veterans. I mean, we talk about everything else, but the veterans, they need our support.
I completely agree. So, and I know we have just a couple minutes left. I think, Raju, can I pass the baton back to you here? Do you have any, maybe 60 seconds of what thoughts you may want to share with all of us yet tonight?
I mean, I don't have any extra thoughts other than what I already shared about, veterans. I mean, it's a deep conversation to get into. It's probably not enough for 30 minutes, but yeah, I mean, people do not understand the stuff they go through. I mean, I'm not a veteran, but having met people, it's sad to see, when people are served the country and everything, and they go through that, and then they're pretty much abandoned. Well, they're not abandoned, but they're just basically they're not being taken care of. So
excellent. I completely agree. So, and Eldon, same. I'm going to pass it over to you. Same thing. If you have some parting thoughts here for us.
I'm just impressed about what we've accomplished tonight, and I'm so grateful for you being on here and focusing more on the military. I think that was a great focus, and I think we've got a lot of ideas to kick around, and I think we can come up with something.
Excellent. Well, I sincerely appreciate both of you sharing your time and talents with us here tonight. We've been doing Ability MKE Now for several years, and I know every so often the topic of veterans comes up. And Raju, I appreciate that you mentioned that is a passion of yours that you're looking forward to in the future here. And if there's anything we can do to help make that happen, whatever that direction that may end up going, we'd love to be a resource there. So we'd like to be a resource for all those in the Milwaukee area here and beyond, and we appreciate what we can do and appreciate you guys coming on here to help us out with that. So for Kurt, for Emily, and myself, Sue Roskoff here with Ability MKE Now, we absolutely thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kurt, Eldon. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, Raju, please connect with me. We need to talk.